And we are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
And together we're the leads on game development and design here at Codename.
We also founded Codename too.
That's true. We're going to be your hosts for this episode and for every episode.
Because when we're not here, the show doesn't happen.
That is still true.
But today, this show is our 136th episode.
136. Doesn't really seem like a notable number.
Yeah, it's really not.
I can't even think of any jokes that involve the number 136.
Me neither.
Maybe we should just get to the questions.
That would be lovely.
I feel dirty not having a pun prepared.
Too late.
Oh, well.
Today, we are here to answer development and design questions about idle champions.
That's true. But if you don't ask any questions, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of, what is it today? Him attempting to optimize the idle champion's backend code.
Yeah, I'm not sure people would find that entertaining.
Well, then they better ask some questions.
Yeah, though I'm sure they would appreciate me actually doing it.
I would appreciate you actually doing it.
Yeah. How about this? If we don't get any questions, I'll just leave to work on it.
Perfect.
Great.
That might be the wrong incentive structure here today.
Yeah, we appear to have questions.
Right. Anyway, as always, we have pulled forward some questions from the previous show that we will get started on. We'll answer those while we're waiting for new questions to come in. I would say we have some updates from the dev team, but we don't. Peter is out this week on some well-deserved vacation, so we haven't pushed an update this week. So let's just get into last week's questions. If I can find the right document. This is it. Okay. First leftover question from last week is from Canelian, asking, has there been any changes to time gate lockouts for Flex Champions since the release of Events 2.0?
So a couple of changes have happened here. Initially, I think they weren't automatically getting locked out of time gates while the events were active, which obviously we want to do because it's a lot cheaper to just pick them as a Flex Champion. So we made that change, I think, a couple of months ago. And then we got a bit of feedback on that some people wanted to run them in time gates anyway, even though the event was either coming up or even already running. And so I think what we're going to do, if we haven't already, and I don't think we have, but we have it on our sort of easy to-do list, is to just give a warning if you try to open a time gate for a champion that either has their event coming up in the next 3 weeks or is currently in the event running. And that warning will just say, hey, this champion's coming up. Are you sure you want to run them? And if you say yes, we'll be like, all right, they're your time gate pieces. Have fun. And let you open them. And if not, then we will have saved you 6 time gate pieces. And we will feel good about that as a bonus action.
It takes a whole bonus action to feel good about it?
It's a bonus action to feel good about things, yes. Yeah.
I would have thought you'd have to take your whole turn to do that.
No, you can attack and feel good about it at the same time.
No. I know whenever I feel shame, it takes my whole turn, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's 4th edition.
Okay. Next question. This is from the Lurking Writer asking, in the past, CNA went to some conventions and had their own gelatinous cube display. Oh, yes, we did have that. How many...
Rest in peace, gelatinous cube.
More like pieces.
Well, pieces.
Yes. How many streams do you think it would take for Sean to recreate the cube via Lego? And can we donate to the Extra Life for stretch goals to have Sean build extra things, like, say, things from the game that would be floating in the cube?
Well, so the gelatinous, I think we only took it to 1.
No, we took it to more than 1.
Right, okay. We took it to 1 and it made it, and then we tried to take it to a second one and it didn't survive or whatever.
Yes, it was the shipping. When it arrived at PAX South, I want to say.
Yeah, the one that's in Texas.
It had, a lot of the panels had cracked And I think like our best guess was that it got really, really cold where it was being stored and in the shipping.
For context, if you haven't seen the pictures, how big was the thing? Like 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot?
You could go inside.
It was massive.
It was a large, I don't know if it was quite 10 by 10, but maybe
9 by 9, 8 by 8.
It was in that range.
A normal-sized,
it was a
medium-sized humanoid could fit inside it.
Or 2 or 3.
Or several medium-sized humanoids could fit inside it. It was to scale, let's say.
Yes.
And made out of acrylic. Very fun.
Yes, sort of vacuum-formed acrylic panels that were all custom designed and then made to fit together so that we could pack it up and ship it. Unfortunately, it was a lot more fragile than
Yeah, that was very sad. Do we still have pieces of it in storage, or have we gotten rid of it at this point?
I don't know for sure what happened with that.
Neither. But to answer the question, how many streams do you think it would take for Sean to create? This thing was massive. I think even if you had the pieces,
the Lego pieces,
which would cost, well, it'd probably bankrupt a small country to get that much Lego. But
I mean, if it was hollow.
Yeah, well, obviously you're going to make it. You're just going to do the form of it. But it would take a long time and a lot of pieces.
I mean, I think he could probably spend all year doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we're not going to get him to do that. It's
new
not
stream,
a good use
new stream
of
idea. Sean builds a huge green transparent cube out of Lego. Yeah.
And it'd probably end badly too.
Well, that's a good idea. 3D print the Lego.
Yeah, there we go.
Can you 3D print with like a translucent?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
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 There we go. Okay, our 3D printer in the office is now going to be in use for the next.
You might be able to
several years.
Buy Lego for cheaper than you can 3D print it, but
no way, really? That doesn't seem
probably.
Right.
Used Lego. Well, I think we've spent enough time on this question.
This is what the people wanted to know last week.
That's true. Next question. This one is from Fewer Pills, asking, can you talk about why you picked Rust for a rework? He seems solid as a champion being used by almost everyone for gold farming, and one of their better champions, of his affiliation. There are probably a bunch of champs that need it more than him, and he isn't even out of Elminster's pool, which seems weird. I'm just interested for the thoughts behind it. Yeah,
so when we look at champions to rework, we generally are looking at overall usage. And Rust did have some usage in sort of niche gold farming formations, but he didn't have a lot of use outside of that. So his overall usage was quite low. It was comparable. We generally look in the bottom 30% of usage for rework targets, and Rust was in that. And Rust was a champion who. I had an idea of what I wanted to do with them in the initial design, and that was to have a champion that if you use them in a gold find formation, they basically make up for some of the deficits of a gold find formation, mainly less support abilities, by converting that gold find into DPS. And he didn't really do that very well. He had some additive stacking stuff that probably could have been multiplicative and now is multiplicative. So I was actually really interested in basically just trying to refine him into what he was initially intended to do. And I think we did that. I think he's a really interesting character now in that he has probably as like a single character, he has one of the biggest potential buffs in the game. But in order to activate that, you have to use him with a bunch of gold find champions, which generally have smaller buffs. And so it's an interesting kind of dynamic of how many gold find champions you use, how many sort of meta support champions you use, and where the tipping point is for your particular formation and setup that he will be better than putting in another support champion or swapping out some of those gold finds for another support champion. So I think it's pretty interesting.
Okay. Yes, and as the chat noted, 3D printed Lego probably doesn't have very good tolerances. They probably wouldn't fit together nicely.
You just got to get a really good 3D printer. The brand new 3D printers, like a couple of friends of mine have them, and they like the detail that they print out on that is like insane.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if it was one of those like resin ones.
Yeah,
Those
one
ones
of
are
my
pretty good
friends
for
has the
that.
resin
But
one.
like the one we've got here, which is the extrusion,
Yeah.
the tolerances on that can be off. You'd have to do a lot of trial and error before they actually fit.
Now my friend's been printing out D&D minis and D&D
Oh,
monsters
yes.
and stuff, and they are so meticulously detailed. It's incredible. Apparently you can't go in the same room as it while it's printing though, without a gas mask on.
Yeah, the extrusion one doesn't have that problem.
Yeah, well, I know that. It's sitting on the desk, 2 desks down from me, so I hope not.
All right, next question. This is from Loopy79. It isn't a problem yet, and it won't be for a year or 2. But once players have finished their Tier 4 event quests for all available event champions, can we get a way to reset progress for chosen champions, allowing us to reacquire these one-time completion rewards? It would feel pretty pointless to choose these champions otherwise if the only reward we get is the buff we unlocked the years prior.
Yeah, I think this is a really good, this is something that design will need to consider. We'll need to figure out exactly how we want to address this, because we're going to be getting to the point pretty soon where we're designing champions for kind of the event V2 year 2 kind of round. Like we're going to get back around to March pretty soon, and we need to start thinking about what we're going to do for the second time through for a lot of those champions. And yeah, I think there's a variety of different ways we can go with it, but we're definitely going to have to solve this problem sort of before we get to, kind of Q2 of next year kind of thing. It sounds like a problem for future Justin. That's what past Justin said when he was initially designing the system.
Yep.
So future Justin is quickly becoming present Justin.
Who's quickly becoming past Justin.
Who's going to become past Justin, and then I'll just be mad at all the happy at
every
one
iteration.
past Justin, mad at one past Justin. Yeah.
Anyway, next question, and the last question left over from last week, as well as looks like it was the first question from this week. This week as well is coming from Garwar, asking, when sorting by race in the champion search, can it flag champions that have feats that would change their race in the searched race, or to the searched race? Currently, it only includes them if the feat is equipped already. That is true.
I think we can probably do that and say like they'd qualify for the
Yeah, I could feel like that's not.
I feel like
a special case that's too difficult.
Like we already support, if you search for like, I guess if you're in an adventure and you go like current adventure, it'll show you champions who could qualify if they had feats. And so I guess the question is, does it currently function so if you like search for 13 charisma and there's a champion who has 12 charisma but does have a +1 charisma feat, do they show up with a feat could make this show up? Because we just have to make sure that we're kind of consistent between those two. I think we should definitely do this for current adventure one, because I think we support that. It is a good question of if we want to support that for the more general sense, general searching. Garwar says, no, they do not. That is what we want. Well, apparently if they want it.
They can have it? Is that how that works?
We'll put it on the list. We'll talk to Peter
Which
about
list?
The list of things to talk about with Peter when he gets back. Which is getting longer and longer and longer the longer he's away.
That's true. All right, let's get into the questions.
We haven't actually selected any for... okay.
Let's get into the questions for this week. First, although second question, I'm confused how to tag this. At any rate, this question is from Weffen, asking, can Vornika's champion selection be changed to seat selection, like the way DM will change in the future?
Yeah, so Vornika is an interesting champion to ask questions about because Vornika is in the bottom 30% for usage. I think because of the fact that her inner circle stuff is so hard to use. And so I would not be surprised if Vornika got something that's potentially even more than just changing her champion selection to seat selection, but instead some sort of overall rework at some point in the nearish future.
Okay. Next question. This is from Randram, asking, or saying and then asking, I assume, since you mentioned last week, we'll see how it's received and played out. well, it's the quote from last week.
I said something like that. Yeah.
It's in quotes. I don't know if you said exactly those words, but for the disagreeable choice of delaying one of the reworked champions, please never repeat that, as we said last week. What are the ways we can show our discontent by reducing engagement? Would refusing to claim dailies and never opening the screen make a difference? Any other ways beyond repeating it here weekly?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I hear your feedback. I think it is important to understand that not everyone has the exact same opinions and not everyone plays the game in the same way, and we're looking for a general consensus of the community here, not necessarily just a couple of people's opinions. And so I think we're going to wait and see how it plays out in all of the metrics that are important to us. And I don't think it's a big deal to wait for a second champion rework. I mean, we used to just do events with one new champion in them every 3 weeks. So waiting 3 weeks for a second champion wasn't a big deal back then. I think waiting 1 week for a champion doesn't necessarily need to be a big deal right now. But I think that we're going to look at the metrics that are important to us and see how they are affected by offsetting the champions by a week and having that more even distribution of champions through the event, and then we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're trying to reduce the sort of the front loading of the event, and so we'll see how that affects engagement and see if if players can play at the beginning of the event, in the middle of the event, and near the end of the event. Not just all at the front. So hopefully that does make a difference. Okay, next question. This one is from Garwar. I submitted a bug report about the kill log and was told it is not a supported feature. Is it something you'd be willing to change in the future, as people do tend to use it, but the information that is provided is flawed?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the kill log is something you can bring up, and it's not really it was initially put in as a debugging feature to help us track down. We had some issues, and maybe we still do, I'm not sure, where enemies would essentially die but not be removed or not count as being killed, and there was some sort of extenuating circumstances that caused them to basically just get stuck, and then your formation would get stuck until you went back and forward again, and it was a big thing. And so we added this kill log, which I think you access by doing Control LLL or something like that, and it'll basically tell you what champions kill what enemies, and I think it says how much health they have or something like that.
Yeah, there's some set of details that's printed in there.
But it is just really a debug tool. So it's not really a core game feature, or else we would put it somewhere that's not kind of hidden behind Control LLL. Similar to how if you swirl the mouse around a bunch of times, you get a Unity debug pop-up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different than
also
that.
Not a supported tool that we encourage people to try to use for anything useful.
I mean, they did ask about this last week, and I know I said that I thought that if it was something that people are finding useful, that it is something that we could consider updating, making a little bit more user-facing, because right now it's just a box with text in it.
Yeah. It doesn't even have any sort of
have a little bit more detail in there, because I think obviously people are finding it useful for one reason or another, and so if that's information that people would like to see, I don't see why. It's not like it's a complicated thing to address in terms of just making sure the data in there is accurate, and then...
Yeah, Garwar is saying in chat, the problem is the damage listed being done is incorrect. That was added by player request, but while a number is there, it being wrong makes it unhelpful.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember when that was asked, I remember we added that. I know it went on the list and it got done. I didn't realize the number was incorrect. I'm not sure how that would have come. Where would you get the incorrect number from that?
Maybe it uses the remaining health, so it's just the effective amount of damage done, and not the
whole. Is it just the full
total
health
hit or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so the changelog is also no. That's not how that works.
Cheeky.
Okay.
Changelog has a button that you can access it with. It's
Yes,
built
it's
into
a
the UI.
front-facing user feature as opposed to something you need to know a special key combination to get up for debug purposes.
Yeah.
Um,
Like the special, admin chests that you can get by
yes,
hitting the
yeah.
right debug.
All right. Next question. This one is from Meow Arf Moo, asking, last week I asked about the shrinking familiars on the character bar across the bottom. I said I had that option checked, which I did, but it wasn't enabled for some reason. Wait, is that a question?
Where's the question in this?
That was just a statement.
I think this is just a statement.
Interesting.
So there's okay.
So there might be a bug.
No, I think they're just saying my bad. So it works. They're saying it works. The feature that we said would be a really good idea, and then people in the community said, "Wait, you've already done that," does actually work. Great.
Good. Job well done.
Good job, us.
We'll take it off the list. Okie dokie. Next question then. This is from OG17 asking, are you sure you're happy with Rust's support strength? That's it. That's the question. That's the entirety of the question.
This was a really interesting thing, a really interesting one, because one of the things we do with champions, so we've been doing for a year and a bit now, I think, is we get Mars, who's modding this stream right now. Hi, Mars. Everyone say hi, Mars. Mars runs through and does some power testing on all the new champions. And one of the big things he flagged for Rust was that Rust's sort of Bud contribution was 3 or 4 times higher than any other champion's Bud contribution. And so it was like, it looks like Rust is probably going to need some nerfs. And I went in and looked at it, and the thing that I pulled out of it was, while Rust's Bud contribution was massively higher than any other champion's, the overall Bud of that formation that he had built was actually quite a bit smaller than some of the other formations that he'd built for power testing for previous champions. And so my feeling was that there was probably a balancing point there where using too many gold find champions to push up Rust's buff too high was actually potentially detrimental if your goal was to just have the highest Bud you could possibly build. So I think that Rust's strength is okay, because you do have to sacrifice some of those meta champions who might do like an E to the 40 or E to the 50 contribution for ones that are doing an E to the 20 or E to the 30 just to get his damage up higher. We did do some testing afterwards to sort of see if we could figure out where the balance point was there. And I think he still had a good contribution to the formation, even with 6 or 7 sort of meta support champions and a couple of kind of the best gold find champions. So I think I'm okay with where he is. There might have been some stuff we missed in power testing. Something I always say to Mars just to make him feel better about stuff is we're just 2 or 3 people, the design team and Mars, working together to try and get these champions out. And no matter how much time we spend testing them, once they kind of hit the player base, you've instantly, within an hour, have many orders of magnitude more time spent testing and tweaking and trying different formations and stuff. So, we will. I think he's okay, but we'll see how it goes in the long term. And if we need to pull him down, then we'll pull him down. Maybe on the same time scale as Spurt.
All right. Next question. This is from Ravenous Bebot, asking, can you make it so that the pop-up that shows objectives and restrictions for your current adventure also...
Wait a minute. What's the difference between a business year and a regular year? Your bill says so in 3 to 4 business years. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Ravenous BBOT. Sorry for
did you ever figure out what the difference between a sheep and a goat was?
No, I'm pretty sure that
you didn't do your homework. Okay.
Sheep are awake during the day, and goats are awake at night. No, wait, that's butterflies and moths.
Anyway, Ravenous Bebot asks, can you make it so that the pop-up that shows the objectives and restrictions for your current adventure also shows the higher tier target areas in the objective whilst playing on a lower tier of an event adventure if multi-tier is active?
Well done, sir. Yeah, I think that's something we can look into. It makes sense. I think we've seen a lot of positive feedback about multi-tier.
And can you explain to people what multi-tier is?
Oh,
if
sure.
They don't know?
We're getting ahead of ourselves here. There's a bunch of questions.
I know.
About it. But yeah, sure.
Given there's so many questions about it.
Multi-tier is a is one of the augments in the August event. And the way that the way it works is so in regular events you've got 4 tiers of event variants, and you have to beat all the tier 1 variants, then you unlock the tier 2 variants. You do all the tier 2 variants, then you unlock the tier, etc. Each of the variants in each tier rewards some rewards, but you can only do 1 tier at a time, basically. And the way multi-tier works is if you can get to the area objective of a higher tier in an earlier tiers adventure, you'll complete all the tiers of the adventure that you qualified for. So, for example, if you can get to area 1200 in your very first playthrough of the first variant, you'll complete tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 all at the same time. You'll get 4 gold chests, and you won't have to do that variant anymore. So in theory, people who can push really, really far, really, really quickly can complete each event champion just by running, the recruit adventure and then the 3 each variant once. So it makes things a little bit easier for folks. Gets you through that content a little bit faster. You don't have to replay the same thing multiple times. But you still can. If you only get to area 1150 the first time through, you'll still have the tier 4 one available for you once you've completed all the other ones up through tier 3.
Right. And I can see that sort of the questions falling, and some in the chat right now are basically asking or pointing out that the messaging on that isn't perfectly clear while you're playing.
It's tough to. Yeah, I think there's some stuff we can improve there. And if the much like the separated kind of champions or the delayed champions, if we can, if we see good metrics from that, if we see things going in the direction we want them to go, or even if we just see them kind of staying pretty neutral.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's something
for multi-tier, the worry would be a drop in engagement.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that when we see that, it doesn't come at the cost of players just completing it and then just not playing after that.
Yeah, because
reducing.
It's the same kind of thing we're seeing we're trying to do by delaying the champion by a week is not have basically everyone play the event for the first day or 2, and then just stop engaging with the event until the next one comes out. And so we want to make sure that people are engaging with the content we're putting out as much as possible.
Speaking of which, did you get your daily rewards today?
I haven't logged in and gotten my daily rewards yet.
You better log in before you miss it.
I don't want to miss it.
Then you'd have one missed box and the whole thing's a wash. You can't do it.
And then, we'd look at the engagement. We'd look at the engagement.
Engagement went down.
We'd look at the engagement numbers and go, looks like multi-tier is causing engagement to go down. So
but really hopefully those daily rewards.
Hopefully everyone will grab their daily rewards so that we know that multi-tier is keeping people engaged.
Yeah. Why did we muddy the water with so many different things at the same time? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. This is from OG17 asking, Eliwix Dismantle isn't active. This will start a week in. Will it extend a week after the event or end with the event and be a week shorter than normal?
So Eliwix Dismantle will start next week with her release, and it will just end with the event. So it will be a week shorter than normal. I figure 2 weeks is still enough time for folks to decide whether or not they want to scrap all of her stuff or keep it and build her up.
Okay. Next question. This is also from OG17. Could Rust's Fever Dream alt spec lose its brightness increasing overlay? It is a lot in something like a snowfield area, and the coins are still a clear visual.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen the effect for this.
I'll have to go look at it.
So yeah, we can take a look at that and see what that looks like, and yeah, make changes if we need to. Generally, if there was something egregious, I would have been flagged by QA, I think, but I can take a look and see what's going on there.
Okie dokie. Let's see. Next question, also from OG17. Could Rust's new Hello Friends item change to be Rags to Riches to match his pre-rework state, where he'd have an item that's either to damage or second gold fine, depending on the coin status? It's strange his rework took away a gold fine item despite opening up an item slot by removing alt damage. Buffing the base ability did little to compensate. Do you want to sort of elaborate on that?
Oh my gosh, okay. Let me pull up the character sheet so that I don't get anything wrong here. It's like Rust's rework was several months ago in Justin Land. Let's see.
Justin Land, you say?
Justin Land. That's the Justinverse.
Is this like is it a theme park or is it?
It is
a strip mall.
Yeah.
Welcome to Justin Land.
Yeah. Let's see. Rust on the water, on the harbor. Found them. So people are saying that Rust gives less gold fine now. Well, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, so it's a good question. I think Rust's design sort of philosophy was always to be a goal, like a booster with gold fine, kind of a gold fine build around. Less, I think, that he have super high gold find, though obviously he still has that in order to activate his own abilities, but more that he be a sort of central focus for your other gold fine champions. So I don't necessarily know that I am sad that he has slightly less gold find. God, there's puns going on in chat. I don't like it. And more so that we kind of focused on that support side, which is where he was very much lacking.
Do you have your own calendar, Justin? Called Justin Time?
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, reworks are always one of these things about where we definitely, like, we do change things around, and, you know, things that champions were good at. We try to kind of maintain that, and like I said before, like, the initial goal for Rust was to be this gold find build around where you use them with a bunch of other gold find champions, and that increases your formation's damage. I think from a design perspective, I think I'm okay with it being a little bit less if his actual support abilities are boosted quite significantly, which from my reading of chat here seems to be the case.
You can't prevent them from punning in the chat, Justin.
I wish I could. If only I had some sort of sword that I could use to time people out. Wait a second,
sword?
I do.
You can time people out for no. That is an
who
abuse.
Did puns?
That is an
Click,
abuse
click,
of your power.
Click, click, click.
Oh, all right. I think it's giveaway time, Justin.
Giving me all this power.
Yes, it was a mistake.
Okay, it's time for our world famous giveaway. Stream famous giveaway. People in stream are aware of this giveaway. I will say that.
Most of them. Not everybody, but most of them.
Some of the people in stream are aware that we do a giveaway. So the way this works, if you're not aware, is there will very shortly be a code word in chat. All you have to do is copy and paste that code word back into chat, chat it out, say it, paste, send it as a message. I don't know what the word is. And you'll be entered for a chance to win 42 chests of your choice. It can be any type of chest that exists in the game except for Gloria Bahamut chests. So it could be just regular gold chests. You could take a champion-specific gold chest. I guess you could take a champion-specific silver chest if you really just don't like gear or item levels.
Yeah.
Modron component chests, all sorts of types of chests. What are some other types of chests that exist in the game there?
I mean, I know my favorite is the Dorper chest or the Suffolk chest. I'm always a fan of a hairy chest,
Yeah, tell me more about that.
Or a Texel chest. Perhaps a Herdwick chest. You could always get a
These do sound like towns in England, don't they?
Oh.
Counties in England? No.
How about a Shetland chest?
Cows, that's getting closer.
A Romney chest.
Romney?
Not a Mitt Romney
Types of
chest.
ponies, horses, so close.
What about a
there it is.
Southdown chest?
Sheep.
Yes. Well, I had to do it after last week.
Insomni CA was the first one I saw who said sheep.
These are all different names from last time, Justin.
These are all
They're
different?
not the same. Sheep and goat, not the same animal.
Wait a minute. Last week it was types of goats and they're different? I swear some of those were the same. Go back to the list of goats.
I don't. Are we doing this?
Yeah, no, we spent like 15 minutes on it last episode. We got to keep up the tradition. Okay, you just searched for goat, and now it's giving you the greatest of all time.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think these line up, Justin.
No. You know what?
And there's no fainting sheep.
There really ought to be fainting sheep.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that most of the sheep seem to be named after, like they sound really Englishy?
Yeah.
And most of the goats, I don't know, they sound a little bit
I'm not surprised.
less.
They could easily be named after regions in which they were
Yeah.
bred. Okay,
Anywho,
let's get back to the questions.
really enjoying, yeah. Let's talk more about the hairy chests that you like. Anywho.
Each to their own, Justin, each to their own. This next question here is from Goram Browncoat. How are variants for events designed? It seems like some variants are almost trivial, while others are very hard. Is this random, or does it take a champion or tier rewards into account? Right. So do you base the rewards on the difficulty of the variant?
We do not base the rewards on the difficulty of the variant. We don't generally base the difficulty of the variant on the champion. We do try to keep the variants somewhat equal, not always exactly equal. But just to just sort of take a step back and talk about how variants for events are designed. Way back in the day, variants for events were basically just the same as normal variants. We'd block a couple slots, or we'd spawn extra monsters, or we'd increase the quest requirements or something like that. Pretty basic stuff. In fact, it was funny because we were looking at Stokey for a rework a little while ago. And we were looking at her variants because she was the very first event champion we ever did. And we're like, these are event variants? It's literally like the first one is 2 slots are blocked in the formation, and the second one's like quest requirements are doubled. And it's like these are a thing, but they don't really do what modern variants do. And what modern event variants do, and how we design modern event variants, is we try to use each variant to sort of teach a part of that champion's kit. So, for example, if you've got a champion that has a bunch of AoE, then maybe we'll have a variant that spawns extra monsters so that AoE can be used to clear through the monsters faster. And so that's why we have the kind of getting to know champion bit in the description of more modern variants. And we've been doing that for like 2 or 3 years now. We're not really going back in time and changing any of the ones when we do reworks, so they kind of still stay the old style. But for the most part, in the modern variants, we're trying to sort of teach something about the champion. And that's why the restrictions are often things like, if you got a champion that buffs neutral champions, one of the variants will be you can only use neutral champions, so that you use the type of champions that champion is good with. I think I've said the word champion enough times now. But that does affect the difficulty, because there are certainly some champions who are useful with a smaller pool of champions. And so what we do in that case is we try to, if there's not enough kind of champions in the core set, so the first 12 or 13 champions you unlocked, we'll try to expand it a little bit and make it a little bit easier, so that even new players will be able to field hopefully close to a full formation. But every once in a while we do get a case where, if you're a new player, you just don't have quite enough champions to field a full formation, and it does make things a lot harder. And then there are some other champion or variant restrictions that just make things harder in general, like anything that removes slots from your formation or slots from the bench are generally a lot harder. Anything that's got super restrictive restrictions, like super restrictive restrictions, super tight restrictions that reduce you down to maybe like 30 or 40 champions in the whole out of the whole 140 being available. Those ones can be really challenging, just because you don't have a lot of options and you don't have a lot of those meta champions that you usually use. And then anything that deals damage based off of total max health can also be very challenging, especially in higher tiers. But yeah. Anywho, that was a lot of talking. Whew.
Why, that's what we're here for.
I guess
We
so.
got to talk for an hour. All right, next question. This is from Glockta4. How much do you expect people to love multi-tier?
Yeah, I mean, multi-tier was one of those changes that people definitely asked for right from the start, kind of based off of, and they probably would have liked it even back when we were still doing seasons and we did like the bonus quests where you had to do like the same thing 20 times in a row, just 50 areas further each time.
Those were mean.
Those were mean. Bad pass, Justin. Bad. He's past Justin's just over here, I guess.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I think our expectation is that people are going to really like multi-tier, and our only hold-up on making it something permanent is, if it ends up really reducing engagement, and people just kind of are done with events so fast that they just disengage with the feature really quickly. So hopefully that won't happen, and people will still, if you can get the first 2 tiers done in one go, and then you can push for the third and then push for the fourth, like that's the kind of behavior we're hoping to see. Not that people would just, immediately do all 4 tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then, quit the game for 30 days until the next event starts.
Right. I mean, I think we'll just have to add more variants to make up for the...
More variants, yeah.
Yeah.
Every champion, every rework champion will get a 4th variant.
Yeah.
With a
Or
higher
fifth,
with a
and a
higher with a higher area requirement. I don't know how we're going to fit those on the UI, but that's not a bad idea.
Scrolling window. We take the other ones off, but they cycle in as they complete. The game only runs at 4K now. I don't know. We can figure it out. Next question. This is from Noctan82. Valentine is for sure one of the most popular champions in the game. Are there plans for more skins for her?
That's a good question. So Valentine's a content creator champion, so that means that there's a person out there who owns the champion. And before we do skins for champions, we reach out to the content creators, make sure they're on board, make sure they're available to do some of the marketing obligations and whatnot around skins and releases. And so there's a lot of factors that go into which content creators are available. Some of them just get really busy and really famous and stuff. Some of them just have moved on and don't want to work with us and whatnot. And I don't know where Valentine is in that.
I don't feel like that's a super common thing.
It's not very common.
You make it sound like they
one. I'm not going to say which one. No.
This must be very upsetting for you.
But yeah, I don't know. I actually don't do a lot of the decision making around which champions we do skins for, so I don't know where Valentine is in that continuum of people.
Okie dokie. Next question. This is from Foolish Genius 89. Can we get a general time frame on the general balance update with Narak and Briv feats and the favor cost of legendaries?
Yeah, that's a good question. Also, what are you, my executive producer? I think I got this exact same question in our
from Chris earlier
in our production meeting this week. He's like, "Can you just tell me when you're gonna have it done, like all the design done for it?" And I'm like, "Get off my back! You're not my mom."
Yeah, that's how it went.
That's exactly
what happened.
He was
yeah,
there.
I was there.
But yeah, the general time frame is I do want to have it done and out by the end of the year. It is, I'm trying to think of my ASAP priority list. I think I've got 2 things ahead of it, and then we're going into, and then I'll sort of really get into the design of it. But yeah, I would like to have that out by the end of the year. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. There's a variety of things that we want to do in it, but I don't think there's a lot of dev time there. It's probably more of my time than dev time on that, which is probably one of the reasons. If it doesn't go out by the end of the year, that'll be the reason why. Not because the devs didn't get something done, but because I just didn't give them what I wanted soon enough. But that's what I'm aiming for. Obviously, as a caveat that we always give on this stream, anything we talk about on this stream isn't, it's not set in stone. We do a lot of kind of vamping and a lot of kind of
It's set in VOD,
live.
not stone.
No puns allowed. It's not really a pun, I guess.
No, terrible wordplay.
But yeah, so don't hold me to that. That's just what I'm aiming for.
They're going to try and hold you to it.
They are going to try and hold me to that.
And they should, as they should.
Yeah.
Next question. You haven't highlighted any more questions?
Yeah. Let me see.
I did like that question. Let's see. This question here, I'm going to go with 22 because I want to try and pronounce this guy's name.
Okay.
I love this guy's name. Feep. That combination of characters.
Biv Feep.
Is difficult. At any rate, they say, Sean's getting thrown under the bus.
Sean's in big trouble if he told you what I think he told you.
That the multi-tier augment is going to be permanent. Honestly, I'm not lying or twisting what he actually said at all. Okay, I'm lying, but the community really, really wants it to be true.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think if the feedback is very positive, obviously, and if the metrics don't show like stuff really falling off after day one, and especially like into the second and third week of the events is when we tend to see a lot of stuff fall off. But as long as our engagement isn't falling off too much, I don't see any reason we couldn't certainly try the augment again. And if it really sticks over a couple of attempts, then I could see it becoming something permanent.
Right. This makes it for a really tight challenge here for Randram, who wants to reduce engagement as protest over the delayed champion, but probably also really wants the multi-tier to stay.
Yeah, that's an interesting conundrum.
It's a tough place to be in. Rock in a hard place, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's a tough one. You can go ahead and just pronounce the next one here, obviously. Okay.
This next question is from Lian. What is that? It's either 2018, 2019, or we're looking at 20,182,019. Pakagan. Why is patron currency not in the currency tab? That's it. Why is patron currency not in the currency tab?
Question mark.
That
is a good question. I don't know. I don't see any reason it shouldn't be in the currency tab of the inventory. Like we separated everything out in there. I guess the actual reason is it's probably not in there. Well, we don't have inventory items in the game. We just have an amalgamation of stuff.
Yes, it's very, very upsetting.
I think the reason it's not in the currency tab is because historically it hasn't been in the inventory.
Yes.
And when we reworked the inventory layout to have the different tabs and stuff, I don't think we considered adding it.
No,
but I think it could be now that it wouldn't be just like 5 more items on 6 pages worth of chests you don't want to open for some reason. So yeah, I think we could we could add that.
Who are you calling out?
Myself. It's myself when I load up the game on Dev, because I get it automatically credits all the DLC to my account on Dev. I load it up and I've got pages and pages of chests, and I'm like, I do not want to open these. It's going to take me too long. I'm just trying to see if the augment display, if this thing looks right, if this champion's working right. So, yeah, I have too many chests on Dev, and I guess I'm lamenting it myself. Anywho.
Yes. Okay. So the answer on that is yes. We could reasonably add the patron currency to the currencies tab in the inventory. Okay. Next question. This is from Foolish Genius 89, asking if you do the staggered release for Champ again with one new and one rework event, which would take precedence and go first, the new champion or the rework?
That is a great question. I am not
Depends
100%
how evil
sure.
you feel. Wow.
No. I mean, I think we'd probably do the new champion first.
That feels like
and then the rework champion, because really the event is like, it's an event, and like, here's this cool thing. There's a new champion.
That'd be cruel and unusual punishment, I think.
It would be a little bit cruel to have the new champion second. And then, the rework, the rework second, I think makes more sense. I think it's going to be really interesting when Ellie Wix reworks. I'm a word ahead in my head. When Ellie Wix rework comes out next week, because I think we've done some really interesting things to her, and I'm really interested to see what the community thinks, because I actually think of the two champions, I'm not actually sure which one people are going to be more excited about once they're both out, because Ellie Wix has some things that we haven't really done in the game before, that I think especially people who are like farming gems might like. So, except if playing from Quebec, they don't. Quebec.
They know what they did.
Oh, Quebec.
Okay. Next question. This one is from Extraversion. Can we get the enemy types that are in any given adventure variant on the restrictions/selection screen? Would be great to be able to see at a glance instead of using some third-party website to look it up. This would be helpful for certain patron challenges and achievements.
So we did. So some of this information is kind of available now. So in the collections dialogue, there's some of this, and I think because we have it in the collections, we can probably put it, or some of it at least, onto the main adventure selection dialogue. Historically, we haven't had that data directly available to the client, because we don't actually send the client all of the adventure details except for adventures you're on, because all the cinematics and monsters and quest text and all that stuff would be
it's a lot of data.
It's a lot of data. It's a lot of data. So we don't store that unless it's necessary. But now I think we have at least the monster data kind of in a relatively easy way to look up. So it's probably something we can look at putting there. The other option is just if there's a particular type of monster that you're looking for. I know you can go into the collections dialogue, go to the monsters, filter by that monster type, and it'll tell you a couple of adventures where you can find that particular monster. And so you can kind of look for ones that seem to appear in a certain adventure. Definitely if you're looking for a certain type of monster for like patron challenges or something like that, that can be a good way to do it. But I think trying to make this sort of stuff accessible in game and not require a third-party website is something that we would like to do. So yeah, we'll keep on thinking about ways we can make that a little bit more accessible.
Okay. Next question. This is from Captain Wiggly. Well, that's a good name. Hey guys, awesome work on a great game. I just wanted to say thanks.
Thank you.
I would love some type of new player pack in the $20 to $30 range to buy the game, quote unquote. Maybe including 2 or 3 familiars and the stuff whatever. I'm not sure, but things that a new player with low knowledge of the game could buy with safety to support your great work. Mm-hmm. What do you think such a cool thing could look like?
Yeah, so there's a couple of packs that I would recommend taking a look at. The Champions of Renown pack is one we do every year, where we kind of take the top, I think, 5 popular champions from the previous year's worth of events, so relatively new champions, and we bundle those together with a whole bunch of chests. I think it's 17 chests per champion, as well as at least one skin and at least one familiar, I think. I might be confusing it with the Founders Pack. That's a really good one for kind of catching up on some of the sort of popular meta champions from the previous year. There's also is it 16? Okay, off by one. There's also a Founders Pack, I think, that we do each year that is a little bit smaller in size, but also has some good champions in it, or champion, and a bunch of chests. And then right now we're actually doing a retirement sale. So every 3 or 4 months, I guess, we retire some older DLC, retire it into wild offers. But it's your last chance to get it, and it's generally when the biggest discounts pop up for it. Yeah. So you can grab familiars and champions and skins and stuff for a pretty decent price. Off by one on brand. I am nothing if not consistent.
Off by one.
Oh no, wait. Yeah. The Founders Pack have a GE potion in them this year, which is pretty good. Well, I mean, I guess one of the things I would recommend is sort of engaging with the community. So obviously we do these streams, but there's also lots of other places to engage with the community. The Discord is really good. I'm sure they'd have great advice on where your sort of most bang for your buck would be in the DLC. I know I see posts on the Reddit, the Idle Champions subreddit, all the time. People asking about sort of where can I get the best value for my money when I'm just starting out. So I mean, that's what I would recommend looking at. But if you're looking for just a whole bunch of champions to get you started at a pretty big discount, the Champions Renown packs are pretty good.
Yeah. All right. What do you think? Do we have time for one more, or
we can do this last one here that I have
highlighted? Sure. All right. Yeah. Last question for today is going to be from Fewer Pills, asking, could you add info when you complete the next tier while doing the variants? Oh, wasn't this asked earlier? All right. Well, anyway, we'll carry on. Right now, it's kind of weird to not see anything change until you reset, when you will just randomly get more chests and you will just randomly get more chests, and the tiers will check afterwards. So I mean, this was what we talked about earlier, where it's not showing the progress.
Yeah, I think having some more, especially if it's going to be a permanent feature, having some more data around there, like telling you what the next tier objective is, showing you how many chests you're going to get for resetting right now, and how many tiers you're going to get for resetting right now. I think all that stuff is pretty important.
Yeah, it seems like that was probably just like an oversight in the implementation of this, right?
I didn't say it was going to be permanent. I said if it's going to be permanent, then we'd want to make it more integrated into a lot of those places. So yeah, I mean, I agree that I think those things would be useful if it was made permanent.
Yes.
Even if it showed up a couple more times, like every second month or so, in the augments, I think it would still be useful to do that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, I think I think there's clearly an oversight that it's not made more clear that what you're getting, because it sounds like it doesn't even show that you completed X additional tiers. It's just you go to the adventure and they're done.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay, that is definitely all we have time for today.
Yes. If we didn't get to your question this week, don't fret. You will have another opportunity. We will be live again at this same time next week.
That's true. We will.
We will. Come hell or high water, we will be live. Unless one of us is sick or something, I guess. Unless we're not.
We're doing it sick.
Before we sign off, though, we'd like to thank our tireless mods, including, speaking of people who have been sick. So thank you to Mars and Gabe. They're the folks who copy your questions into our question stock so that we can answer them and keep things awesome in chat.
Yes, and of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, watching the stream, asking such great questions, and for enjoying the game. Because without you, no one here would get to do what we do.
And we like what we do.
That is, you're typing in chat. All right, that's it for today. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Bye.
Justin Did you hear about the most recent Olympic controversy?
No. What was it?
Well, it was Aladdin. He's been banned from the magic carpet race.
What?
Apparently, he's been using performance-enhancing rugs.